Welcome to the Prospector Podcast. I'm here with Andy and our very special guest, Jacqui Buzetti. You'll all know her from Aussie Gold Hunters. Jacqui, thanks for coming on.
G'day. I'm so happy to be able to be on the podcast. I've actually been listening to all of you guys' episodes so far, and it's been great. So I've been looking forward to get my turn.
Brilliant. G'day, Andy. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Good. Good to be here. Good to have Jacqui on, and ready for another chat. What are we going to cover in this episode, mate?
So coming up this week, we've got Gold Hotspot, and of course that'll be the Palmer Goldfields. We've got Nugget Drop Shout Out. We actually have 2 this week, so make sure you stay tuned for that. We're going to have a chat with Jacqui. She's been good enough to come on and co-host this episode, so we'll do it as if she's a guest as well and have a chat with her about that. We have a Goldfield safety tip. We've got reading in the ground, and also we might even, if we've got time, we might even jump into some Goldfield and Prospector sayings of bygone eras. So, yes.
Or even modern eras. Yeah.
Or even modern eras. I don't know. I think that'd mostly get content locked, won't it? Most of the modern era sayings from the Goldfield.
I think so. We might have to edit some of them.
Yeah.
They'll be censored.
Now, let's start off. We might as well get straight into the gold hotspot of the Palmer up in far north Queensland. And who better to talk to it than 2 of the full-time prospectors of the Palmer, Andy and Jacqui. So, look, over to you guys. I'm just going to sit back for this one.
Thanks, mate. We both know the Palmer Goldfield histories really well. And honestly, the main thing I want to say about the Palmer history is if you want to have a really good read about it, you need to go and buy yourself a book called The River of Gold by Hector Holthouse. And that is one of the best Australian goldfield history reads you'll ever get your hands on. So
link in the description below.
Yeah, that'll be far better than what we're going to tell you anyone else. That book is gold itself. So anyway, the Palmer River Goldfields. Do you want to kick this one off, Jacqui?
I think the Palmer River Goldfields were always something that everyone was so intrigued by. Like, it was the wild, wild west. There were all these stories about what went on up there that people didn't know if they were true or if they were false, because it was just so wild how it all went down. But once the guys had made their way all the way up to the Cape in far north Queensland on their search for gold, it was 1872 that it was discovered there. And then 1873, they went in and started prospecting it. So they were the first people, the first Europeans in there, and they were exploring what was described by Mulligan as some of the most inhospitable, rugged terrain known to man. So Andy and I heard about that, and we thought, let's go there.
Yeah, it's madness.
Perfect.
And it really is one of the most remote, rugged, rough places you could find yourself, honestly. It's vast. It's just so hilly. Everything out there is rough. Lots of things out there want to sting you or chase you or bite you. So there's always that aspect to it. But gold. They found some serious amounts of gold out there. And that was the appeal to it, for sure.
Absolutely. The history of the Palmer River Goldfields is probably one of our most violent histories as well. We had a large Chinese contingent. There was at least 20,000 Chinese on the Palmer Goldfield. It was actually the biggest population of Chinese people outside of China at that time in history. So, and then, of course, you had the local Aboriginals and then all the Western people. So there's basically 3 mobs all warring each other. Death was common, murder was common. There's 900 known graves on Palmerville, and we've found heaps more that aren't known. It was just such a wild, violent history in such a untamed and remote part of the world that it just makes for fantastic story and reading. And when you go up there and you go to places like Maytown and those sort of really well kept historical areas, you can see it and you get to read about it too, of course. But people, the walk even from Cooktown to the Palmer River, 3 weeks of hell, all the things that got to mention, like the spear grass at the Palmer River. I've never seen spear grass in Australia like it. Now, in Mulligan's diary, he talks about that spear grass and how there is no manner of clothing in the world that can repel it. They talk about the march flies, because the march flies up there in summer are the most brutal biting insect I've ever seen, and he talks about them as well. So there's just there's no part of the Palmer History Goldfield that ever says it was easygoing or it was rosy, it was nice, it was fun. It is just such a dark and intriguing history, but at the same time, there's all those beautiful stories, of course, of success and, people that did actually make it or survive. I think one of my quick favourite stories about the Palmer was that there was a couple of ratbag blokes that used to just go around looking for crows, for carrion birds, and then go to where they were to see if there was dead miners and then just steal their gold. And that was how they made a living, of robbing dead miners.
That's wow.
That's just a real typical story of the Palmer. It's just that the place was just chaos, the Wild West, 30,000, 40,000 people, cutthroat industry. Yeah, beautiful history, really.
Yeah, official numbers say there were like just over 20,000 people on the goldfields, but they estimate it was probably up to about 50,000 back then. But their record keeping was so different. And, there was a lot of secret stuff going on, different ways that the Chinese were getting their gold sent back to China. So they were getting paid better amounts of money for it. And the history there is so well preserved in parts. You walk through these really remote, isolated areas, and then all of a sudden you come across the foundations of an old stone hut, or you come across an old miners' camp, and it's literally in the middle of nowhere, and it's just made it through years and years, like 150 years worth of wet seasons and weather events. And it's incredible that you can walk through and you can still see it there. Andrew and I, we came across old townships. We came across these places. We found relics. I found a handgun. We found all sorts of stuff. And I think because it was just so remote and so hard to get to, a lot of it was taken there and it never came back, including so many of the miners in the gold rush era. They never left the Palmer.
Yeah.
Wild place.
Very wild place by the sounds of it. I can't wait to get up there. It sort of makes, me, every time I complain on one of my videos about how thick the scrub is and how hilly it is where I'm prospecting at the moment, seem pretty illegitimate.
It gives us a laugh, mate, but it's good. It's cute.
Yeah, come on, mate. I got charged by a deer the other day and I shit him.
Yeah, we got a few stories of getting charged by animals up there for sure. Everything's pretty wild out there. But I tell you what, I don't know, some people watching Aussie Gold Hunters might have actually noticed how much weight Andy and I lost through the progression of our time on the Palmer. And that was, partially because of all those massive hills and missions we had to walk. We're on foot, we're prospecting, metal detecting, so it's great exercise. Also partially because we were on rations half the time because our food was running out and we were so starving, and going to town takes 5 hours. So, we lost a lot of weight out there. If you ever want to, get fit, I recommend going to the Palmer.
I'm gonna take that personally, Jacqui. You're saying I need to lose weight?
I'm saying that to all the viewers.
You're probably right.
It's rough out there. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah. I saw Andy, 2 or 3 weeks after you got back from your last trip up there, mate? And he was skinny boy.
Yeah, mongrel dog, mate. There wasn't much left of me.
His belt didn't fit him anymore. We were filming our last episodes and he had to punch an extra hole in his belt because his pants kept falling off him.
I've had to do that too, but the other end of the belt.
And, me and Jacqui understand that there's a fair interest in our story because we're on TV. And if you want to see all those things, you go and watch it on TV. So, of course, a lot of what we talk about here today in reference will be the stuff you don't get to see on TV. We won't talk about the 200 junk targets we dig up a day because that's boring on TV and on a podcast. So.
Yeah, but look, it's reality, isn't it? And we try and be as real as we can on the podcast, and both of us on both of our YouTube channels, the same thing. We try and show exactly what does happen out in the field, and it's reality. You're going to dig so much junk, I know it gets boring and people don't want to see the junk, but it's what happens. I call detecting especially more frustrating than rewarding because the amount of junk you dig before you do get rewarded is just
Oh yeah, It's probably looked like it a lot that all we ever do is go there and just hit gold straight away, and it's gold, 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 gold. And I'm sorry if that's made you guys think that's what happens, because at the end of the day, it most certainly is not. We dig that much junk. I curse all the junk they left behind. I wish they had like plastic or something else other than metal for everything back then. It's insane.
It's and I don't know. As far as junk goes, I don't mind finding it because there's all those positives. No one's detected this bit of ground, or if they did, they didn't do it properly. If there's still junk, there's still gold. But once you've got about 30 junk targets in your pocket and nothing else, that story just doesn't soothe the soul anymore.
And then you get that one bit of gold, and you think, oh, I've got to keep going. And it's been 30 to 1, but you're like, there is gold here. I need more. 30 junk targets later.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've both had it happen to us where we've found patches and we've been working our patches and pulling out like ounces of gold. It's incredible. And then it runs all the way down to the corner where the old timers camped. They didn't even dig there. They just camped there and dumped all their rubbish on it.
Entire sib sets rusting away, and just to the point where it's impossible. You'd be there for a month and you still wouldn't get through it all.
Yeah.
So.
I guarantee you there's still gold there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's covered off the Palmer pretty well for a gold hotspot. We all know how hot it is up there, figuratively and literally. Now, I'm going to do something I forgot to do last week, and that's sponsor. So I don't know if this is backwards for you guys watching at the moment, but Matt's Crevice Tools. Don't forget to see mattscrevicetools.com.au. We all know how good his gear he makes. He's got a bunch of new stuff. Just hit the website. Slight disclaimer, Matt's just gone on holidays for school holidays, so deliveries will take a little bit extra time at the moment. But check out all his stuff and make sure we support Matt's Crevice Tools. Absolute legend. Thanks, Matty.
Good on you, Matty. Thanks, mate.
Maybe he's on holidays digging up gold with all his crevicing tools as we speak.
He's on holidays with his young fella, and they are stopping at many goldfields on the way to a meetup. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so he's sort of not really having a holiday. He's working at the same time, but, that's what happens in the gold game. Now, time for my favourite segment, and that's Gold Nugget Drop. So, kaploop, into the toilet we go. And for this week, it is our first of 2 Nugget Drops. Shout out to Terra Ranger on YouTube. If you haven't seen Matt's channel, he's in the Northern Territory. He covers all the topics you could ever want to ask for, from beginner right through to season pro. Terra Ranger is definitely worth a look. So all the links are in the description to Matt's channel. Check him out. And a little bit of a behind the word on the street is we might be having Matt on the show soon as well. So that'd be great to have him come on and have a chat about prospecting up in the Northern Territory, because it's not somewhere that gets covered very often, and we'd love to have a chat to him about that. So make sure you support Matt, jump on his channel, Terra Ranger, and we'll probably hear from him soon. So there we go.
Nice.
Next, we have Jacqui in for a guest. So I'm going to hit you up with some questions. I don't think it'd be fair if Andy asked you the questions. So I thought I'd hit you up and just give the viewers and listeners a bit of a different perspective from what they've probably seen on Aussie Gold Hunters, and we can get more of the real Jacqui, I'll say.
Yeah, not the TV version.
So, wait, how long have you been prospecting for? Easy question first.
Yeah. Look, I've been doing it pretty much for the last 10 or 12 years now, but it all started when I was a kid. My dad was obsessed with gold, and those Golden Treasure magazines? My dad used to have a library of them in the bathroom, so he liked to look at the gold nuggets while he was in his office doing, his business.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to look at them too, and I was like, oh, wow, shiny, beautiful gold. And then one day Dad was like, all right, that's it. We're going to find some of our own gold. It's only a 4-hour drive. 8 hours later, we ended up at some gold field in the middle of nowhere. It was absolutely freezing cold, and we had to get in the creek and start panning. I had no idea what I was doing, but I ended up with a nice little vial of these sparkly, shimmery flakes of gold. And then after that, I was like, wow, so I can find that treasure. It's incredible. And then as I hit my 20s, I kind of just got into this mad treasure hunt. I'd always been out in the bush with my dad. He always took me out exploring. For fun, we used to go looking for snakes in the forest. So I was pretty, comfortable being out in nature. And I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to amp this up and see if I can find some minerals. So gold, gemstones, crystals, all that stuff. I really started to dive deep into researching geology because silly me didn't realize what rabbit hole I was just about to fall into. And I wanted to understand how they were all formed and where they came from. And it's kind of, it just consumed me. It was so fascinating and so interesting. And I started to, plan my holidays around where I could go searching for gems or crystals or gold. But I didn't actually start detecting until Andy and I started Aussie Gold Hunters. So that was new for me 5 years ago.
Right. Well, you've answered two questions in one there, because I was going to say, how did you first get into gold prospecting? But thank you. You've covered that off nicely. All right, then. Let's go. What's your favourite memory from prospecting? What's your number one thing that sticks in your head from prospecting?
I think about this a lot because people ask me, and it can be, when I found my biggest nugget, but it's also just so many experiences I've had out there. It has been such an adventure. It was so much fun. We see places we would have never seen if it wasn't for gold luring us in there. I love the history. I love the bush. I love the animals that we get to see out in nature. But, it probably is going to come down to when I found my first ounce nugget. I think I cried. Andy, did I cried?
Yeah, you cried.
Yeah, I cried. I cried. And I couldn't really talk. I remember when I was talking to Andy, all he heard was absolute jibber jabber, and he couldn't make sense of it. And he said to me, I knew I had to come straight away because you would either hurt yourself really bad or something really good had happened.
It was just a complete radio call of crackle and gibberish. And I'm like, well, that's not normal. It's not normal. And then I get over there and Jackie's sitting on the ground crying. I'm like, well, that's not normal. What's going on here?
No, brilliant. That's great. All right, Now I know we just covered off the Palmer, but what do you think is the biggest danger for you prospecting in the Palmer?
I think the remoteness of the Palmer is something not to be taken lightly. You're about 100 kilometers away from Telstra reception. You don't have broken reception. You have no reception whatsoever. And you're traveling, kilometers to get out to where you want to go metal detecting. You are out of radio range of anyone else. So when it comes down to utilizing things like your GPSs and EPIRBs and safety devices, sat phones, it's probably one of the places where you're going to need it. Dehydration can hit you hard out there. I've had issues with that before. You just sort of underestimate things and it hits you for a six. And one thing I learned out there, you have to back yourself, because if you don't get yourself out of a bad situation out there, no one's going to find you. No. You have to really be prepared, take enough water, take all the gear that you need, and wherever you take yourself prospecting that day, you've got to get yourself back out.
Yeah.
It happens. The tracks are really rough out there. I mean, once you get out on those prospecting tracks, you need a really capable vehicle. You need to be fully prepared. Like, you go to the Palmer fully prepared. After our first year out there, we were like, damn, we're coming back with Land Cruisers. We need the right tools for the job.
Yeah. I had a feeling you were going to say the remoteness, because it's the first thing that sort of pops out, doesn't it? I know a little bit from what Andy's told me about how remote and how hostile it is out there. And it's no joke. So if anyone is planning to go up there, whatever you do, listen to these two. They know what they're talking about when it comes to the Palmer and how remote it is. Like, I know the first time I go up there, I'm going to be so ill prepared, and I've spoken to these guys about it, and I'll still be underprepared. I know it. I know it's going to happen. So yeah, make sure you've got all your faculties together before you go out there.
So people turn up every year that just so underprepared. They turn up with a booster for their mobile thinking they're going to get reception. They've got ice in the esky. They don't even have a fridge. They've got no backups for anything. I've seen people turn up without jacks to jack their car up or anything. I've seen people turn up out there in Subaru Imprezas. You know, like it's people are nuts. Like, don't let go do that to you, everyone. Yeah. Make sure you prepare. There's a million pages that'll tell you what you need to go into the Aussie bush in this situation. Yeah, right. But the main thing is backups, because once you get there and you've only got one spare tyre and you get a flat tyre, now you've got no spare tyres. Yeah, backups.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Jacqui, what do you think is the most important aspect of prospecting in your opinion? So think of the whole, thing of prospecting. What's the most important aspect of it that you could sort of offer as something to focus on?
Oh, what do you mean, like having the right tools and things like that?
Yeah, or that's research, so or is it know where you're going, or?
Oh my gosh, just all of the above.
I mean, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, I think planning is really important, and that's something that Andy really taught me, and we did a lot of together, and I saw the process that Andy would do, and having a plan. Like, you don't just head out there and go, oh, yeah, this looks like it could be good. Planning is really important. Doing your research, having a plan, obviously. If you're new to the area, go look around the old gold mines, which is advice I've heard you guys give before for other locations. Go look around where the old gold mines are and start to familiarize yourself with the ground in those areas so you can find that ground somewhere else. So definitely planning and having a strategy. And strategy, go through areas pretty quick. Figure out what's going on in a spot before you spend too long. Like, don't grid an area, don't do any of that until you're on the gold. But you might have to walk a fair way before you get anything. So don't waste your time gridding off an area. Just go for the hot spots. And then once you hit that gold, that's when you slow it down. Because when the place is as vast as the Palmer River especially, you don't want to waste your time in a bad spot when 2 kilometres away there could be a patch of gold sitting there that you might not make it to.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. And have the right tools for the job. That's really important. Invest in good gear. You want a good, capable detector. The ground's hot. The ground's noisy out there. Like, I've tried to have a go at different things out there, and I'm always GPX 6000 or MineLab. You can rely on it. They're tough tools and they can handle the hot ground out there, and they find the gold. You need to tick those boxes, because if you're going to spend all the money and the time to head somewhere as remote as the Palmer, you want to go there knowing that you've got everything you can to have a successful trip.
Perfect. Yep. It's something Andy and I both talk about pretty regularly, is if you want to be one step ahead of everyone else, you've got to tick everything off. You really need to make sure you've got the best of what you can afford at the time, or whatever it is, but the best for that area, your local knowledge. If you don't have local knowledge, get some, make sure you know that area, and research.
And I mean, you could technically go to the Palmer and do sluicing or panning or other methods of prospecting, but then you need to plan it, take into consideration the season and the time of the year and whether water is going to be available to you, because it's a very dry part of the world. But think outside the box. That area has seen a lot of prospectors over the past few years. So you got to think a little bit outside of the square to try and stay that step ahead, like you say.
Yeah. Yeah, and whether that water you're sluicing in has got dirty great big lizards with big teeth in it would be another thing to worry about as well.
That happens too, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, something I'm not too fond of is the large toothed lizard. I don't like them at all.
They're right.
They're not all right, mate. They see me as a water buffalo. Look at me. They're just like, dinner.
Well, luckily for us in the Palmer, it's mainly freshwater crocodiles. I haven't seen a salty out there, but, there's always rumours about a salty being around from different people you talk to, but we've never seen salties out there, and they're generally not supposed to be in the Palmer River.
It's a long way, yeah.
It's a very long way inland, and I mean, Andy and I have croc watched for each other. And sometimes at the beginning of the year when the Palmer River's still high and the creeks have still got water in them, we've definitely done some croc watching.
Absolutely.
that night prospect.
Yeah, that was an eye opener. We'd been crossing this one particular river for weeks. We couldn't drive through it; it's too deep. We had to walk downstream from the hole and wade across the river. It was probably knee deep and about 6 or 8 metres wide. We found this patch of gold in a really hot area. So I'm like, let's go night detecting. So we went up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, detected through to about 10 o'clock at night. It's actually quite a funny story that night. And then when we came back out, we got back to the river and shone our head torches up and down this creek. We were horrified. There was
Eyeballs.
eyes everywhere. Everywhere. All freshies, but they were still everywhere.
Yeah.
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 Yep. So we had to roll our pants up, take our boots off, and hold the torches on the crocs and get each other across. And they didn't move or anything like that. And we kind of picked a spot away from them. But yeah, it was pretty sketchy. It was a good story to tell the grandkids one day.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that's the beauty of prospecting in places like that too, I think. And especially if you've got someone to do it with, you've got those stories forever, you've got these memories forever, and the experience, like it's something cool that, a lot of solo or lone wolf prospectors just don't get to experience because they've never had that other person with them and that, oh, check this out, like as much as I like going out prospecting by myself, because it's silent, it's great, and I don't have to deal with people. I also love going with mates as well because you do get those experience together.
We had lots of those, haven't we?
About 5 years of prospecting together. I mean, we've done thousands and thousands of hours work next to each other in gullies and stuff. I don't know if there's a crew out there. I'm sure there is, but I don't know many teams that work as well in unison as Jacqui and I. Like, we don't even have to discuss it. It just happens now. We know exactly what the other person's thinking and up to, and we just make it happen. But we will have a bit of a chat about that, about mine and Jacqui's technique of splitting up a creek or an area so two prospectors can work it thoroughly, quickly, efficiently, all those things.
Yep, we will get to that. All right, now I've got one more question for you, Jacqui. It's slight stitch up. I've only spent a few days on the goldfields with Andy, but how do you do it for months, mate? What?
I'm hilarious. What are you talking about?
Oh, classic. Oh, no. You know what? I've learned so much, and we laugh so much, and we have had such great adventures out there. Like, Andy has been a great prospecting partner through this whole journey.
My stitch-up's failing. My stitch-up is
We've actually worked together, but you know what? Look, we all have our quirks, but I feel bad saying something like, oh, because Andy this, because he could easily say, well, Jacqui this, or like, Jacqui's always late. Or, look at that face. He knows. I'd be walking into a trap, Andrew, if I started saying anything bad, because he has an equal amount of dirt to dish on me, for sure.
I think the fact that you both worked together for the amount of time that you have and you still do, is testament to your friendship and partnership, really. Thanks, mate. We've always got to sling a bit at each other on these podcasts because it's what we do.
Oh, we do.
And trust me, if anyone knows my faults, it's Jacqui. She knows them.
Honestly, the banter out there between us, like when we sort of head back into camp or we head back in around people, we have to remind ourselves that the way we talk to each other isn't going to be perceived very nicely, or even by the camera crew, although they started to get used to it after a while. They're like, are they serious, or are they mad at each other? It's like, no, that's just how we talk to each other. Believe it or not, that's actually a compliment. But yeah, I guess we got to know each other so well that, like, we can call each other out on things, no worries. And as soon as he stopped seeing me as a chick, I just think of me as a dude with long hair out there. I mean, it's much easier. I'm just another one of the blokes. I just like to do girly stuff from time to time. But not much during that 6 months.
No.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's, we're all equal out there. It's so remote and so challenging that you can't be that way inclined in your head. Like, it's your prospecting partner, end of story. That's, the only way to be.
But I tell you what, it took me a fair while to earn, like, credibility or that equality with other blokes out there.
Yep.
We met a fair few people in the goldfields throughout our journey, especially in that first year. And, you know, I'd see these people going up to us and they'd have a conversation and they'd just look at Andy and talk to Andy the whole time. It was like I was there just to refill water bottles or something.
Yeah.
They didn't really take me seriously or see me as a prospector. And look, I get it. I'm not your normal prospector. Not when I tell people I go gold prospecting, they're like, I'm sorry, you do what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds weird, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely took me a while to build up that credibility. And I feel like more than anyone out there, I had to really prove myself and my capabilities before I earned that respect back from other prospectors. And it wasn't until I was walking back into camp with jars of gold and good amounts of gold in my pocket that these guys actually started taking me seriously and were like, oh shit, okay, she actually is the same. Maybe a bit smaller, but the same.
It's a bit of a shame that that's the way it has to be, but I think it's testament to you and like your knowledge and how you've gone about it, that I know for a fact that you're a very highly skilled prospector, not just from what Andy's told me, because I know, you know, his skills and what he's told me, but even what you see, and I know it's TV, but what you see on TV, it's not put on. Like, you find your own gold, mate. There's no two ways about that. It's very, very easy to see that. So I think all the listeners and watchers will agree that, you know, they see you as a serious prospector. There's, you know, you wouldn't, you know, there wouldn't be hype around you coming on the show if you weren't.
Thank you so much.
No, well, it's just, you know, from like, for me, I'm like a slightly outsider looking in. So, and my point of view is like, you absolutely a respected prospector in the game for sure.
That's
yeah,
really
the prospecting
lovely.
games changed too. Like 20 years ago, it was absolutely a boys' club, no doubt about it. It was one of those blokey things that blokes did, you know. But times have changed from that. I mean, and technology's caught up as well. Obviously, the 6,000 has made it so much easier for a lot of women to go prospecting because it's a much lighter and easier detector to use. Lighter being the main concern, of course. That, you know, the 7,000 and the 5s, they're fantastic machines, but they're heavy beasts. Even as, you know, I'm only 5'7" and about 68 kilos, so I'm not a big bloke. And that 7,000 though, it wears me down. So, and that's, you know,
Mate,
so
my gold monster makes my shoulder hurt. What are you talking about?
So I don't know. Times have changed. So there's heaps of women in the goldfields now, and we all know that women's hearing is just better than blokes. So we shouldn't underestimate their skills on the detector.
That's right.
Is that because blokes don't listen, or are you being serious?
Well, I am being serious in one that a lot of blokes work in industries that destroy their hearing. And life experiences tell me that my ex-girlfriends just had this crazy hearing. They could hear things they shouldn't.
Yep. Our selective hearing becomes less selective the older we get, I think. We just don't listen to anything.
You're saving your hearing for the gold.
Yeah, we don't even do that.
Right.
It's just noise. Go talk about threshold. Andy hates noise. He turns that down too.
Turn that off.
I hate threshold. I don't really like threshold either.
Nah.
No.
Now, Jacqui, I understand you've got a nugget drop for us.
Yeah. I wanted to come and bring a shout out on the show as well. So kind of bouncing back to what I just mentioned about being a female prospector in the industry and there not being many of us. When I was new in the industry, I came across a group and it was called Chicks with Pics. You guys have probably heard of them before, Chicks with Pics Australia. Yeah, they've got a really good reach. And I really like what they do because they get themselves out there and involved in the community. They go to events, different prospecting events. They do different charity gigs, and they do have merch and they sell pay dirt on their website. They've got the YouTube, they've got the Instagram and the Facebook as well, where you can follow them. And they post really good content, like really good gold content. But for me, what I liked about Chicks with Pics is the story was relatable, and there aren't many female prospectors in the industry. So it was sort of a beacon for me to follow them. And I just think that what they're doing is great to represent the females in the prospecting industry. We need more of that. And that's why I want to shout out Chicks with Pics, because I love what they're doing. I think they're doing fantastic work. So if you were to check out their socials, we're going to link their socials on here. They're all going to be at the bottom of the podcast, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. And they do have merch on their website. So if you are a bloke and you want your missus to get into prospecting, you could buy her very own Chicks with Picks shirt or hat. Or you can even, if you're a female prospector, then wrap it for the girls. You can go out there and get some Chicks with Picks merch. But what I do love is if you jump on there, make sure you buy one of their bracelets, because they do donate $2 from every little bracelet that you buy to the White Ribbon Foundation. And that's something that they've maintained the whole time, which is fantastic. But if you can't get out and go prospecting and you probably don't need any hats or shirts, then get yourself some pay dirt. It's guaranteed. It's got gold in every single bag. It's reasonable. They post it out Australia-wide. So I think they're a good cause to get behind. And we'll link all their profiles for you at the bottom of the podcast as well.
Brilliant. Thanks, mate. Yeah, they're all in the description below, guys. So hit up all the links down there. Thanks for that, Jacqui. That was a good one. And now, while we're promoing, bit of self-promo time. If you'd like to sub to this channel, obviously, we need the subs. We've had to start it from fresh, as you all know. So please subscribe, share it around with your mates. You'll also find Jacqui's links to, what's your main thing, Jack? Instagram?
Yeah, mainly Instagram.
So that's down there as well. You'll also find my YouTube, another gold prospector down there. You'll find Andy Lay, Diary of a Prospector YouTube, and also his Facebook down there. So all the links are in the description below. We appreciate your support. So thanks for that, guys. Let's move on to Goldfield's safety tip. And I'm passing this one over to you two again, because it is, well, two-way radios.
Two-way radios, something we live on all the time. It's something we've always got. Working in really remote areas. So the first thing we found with two-way radios is that you need the 5-watt radios. Don't go buying a $40 2-watter and thinking it's going to do the job in the bush. You got to spend that couple of $100 and buy a quality machine.
Amen to that.
Yeah, because otherwise you'll get caught out for sure. So, I mean, two-ways are just so important in places like the Palmer, and they're almost forgotten technology in the cities in that. Like hardly anyone has them or uses them anymore. But in the bush, they're still a massive part of life. All the farmers are still rolling them. All the truck drivers, all the council workers, like all these people have still got UHFs on them. So having that 5-watt UHF in your pocket could save your life, even on the Palmer. You get to the top of a high hill, you'll get a lot of distance. But the main thing, of course, we use them for is prospecting. So we'll have one each. And Jacqui and I work together so often, we don't talk on the radio much, mostly because I hate it. Yeah, Jacqui was a real chatterbox at first. I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to detect. We just shut the hell up,
Yeah.
But she thought she was on, trucker radio, 10-4 big buddy, eager beaver on the tail. So
it's true.
So, as a safety tool in the bush, the first thing that actually would go in my bag would be a UHF.
Now, just on that, is there, I might be getting a little bit controversial here because you know my thoughts on EMI. What do you think people think about UHFs and EMI on your detector?
I've never noticed it. If you call in or someone calls, it'll pump EMI, but otherwise, none.
That's exactly what I was about to say. It doesn't give me EMI except if I'm digging up a target and someone calls me on the radio. So, yeah, I can understand why Andy gets frustrated with having to pick his radio up and down too often for useless chitter-chatter. Save it for what's important, because you don't want to be giving someone an EMI spike every time they're trying to pinpoint a target on the ground, because they will quickly turn that radio off and then you are on your own.
Yep.
So, my point is that just having your 5-watt radio on and just scanning by itself, it's not causing EMI. So it's not detrimental to what you're doing out there, having that safety feature hit on your hip. A lot of people think that just a dormant radio is going to pulse out EMI, which is just, it's not the case at all.
Maybe on other detectors, but we use the Mind Labs, the 5000, the 6000, the 7000, and we don't have that problem. You see all the gold we find, and we got 2 ways on the whole time.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
Your life is way more important than an EMI spike anyway.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. The safety aspect of it just Definitely.
Your phone will give you way more EMI than a radio and a UHF.
That thing's not working
I
out there
always
anyway,
go
so
to
there's no point
aeroplane
carrying
mode.
it, is there?
Yeah, I go to aeroplane mode on my phone, just so that it's not searching for a tower and punching out that EMI.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, load your maps, put your phone on aeroplane mode, and then two-way to keep in touch with your buddy out there and have a plan. Know on the maps where each other's going to be and where you're going to be meeting up. And that's the best you can really do out there to make sure that you guys are in the link together when you're working together.
Yeah, yeah. Now, speaking of working together, reading the ground, working in pairs.
Yes.
Over to you two again.
Your turn this time, Betty.
I feel like we've got our method pretty well down pack. We spend a lot of time looking at maps and then zooming in on different gullies, finding out where the watercourses are, trying to search for ancient watercourses because obviously it's a large alluvial goldfield, so that's what we're chasing, watercourses. But we've got it down packed to a point now where we can get into a gully or get into an area. Now, if it's a big enough area where there might be multiple gullies to search, we'll sort of start up on a ridgeline and go, yep, you're taking that one, I'm taking that one, we're going to do a loop, and then we're going to meet back up in the middle. But sometimes it's not that large, or we'll go down a gully together and it'll simply be, all right, you jump on the left-hand bank, I'll jump on the right-hand bank. Generally, I get to pick the left-hand bank because my detector's not so heavy to swing up that way than it is to swing up that way. And then one of us will just jump about 50 meters ahead of the other and off we go.
Yep.
So we'll just work those areas together. And like I said before, Andy taught me, because I used to have this problem a lot. I used to work too slowly. I used to try not to miss a spot. Andy told me and he punched it into me and eventually it kicked in. It sunk in eventually. I figured it out. Work fast until it's time to slow down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cover the ground. We've got 330,000 acres of ground to cover. We haven't got time for painting this entire gully. Zoom through it, hit the hot spots, and then we slow down. And I think actually, like, this is a quick little story I'll tell about one of mine, Jacqui's prospecting days. We punched across the river on the quad. We got about 6 k's in. Jacqui already knows where I'm going with this, and blew the drive belt on the quad. So we're done. But we're only about 2 kilometres probably from where we wanted to be. So we'll hoof it in. So we hoofed it in. Did what we did, got into the gully, split the gully in two. I think I was in front, actually, on the right bank in front. And when we say right bank, left bank, we both still get the dead centre of the creek. So it doesn't matter who's in front. Everyone's doing the dead centre of the creek. And then we hadn't got any gold for about the first kilometre, I think, gully. It was actually dead quiet. And all of a sudden, I started getting a few beautiful inside bends, started picking up a few little ones. Now, of course, Jacqui caught up to me then. So she bunny hops me. She walks past me, yells out back to me, I started at this tree, or I started at the big rock, so I know where anywhere between me and that area I have to prospect the entire area, not just my bank. Anyway, Jacqui's bunny hopped in front of me and just started lifting nuggets out of the ground everywhere. So I finished my little spot, and bunny hopped in front of her and started doing the same thing. Like all of a sudden it was just on. And, Jacqui's running over the hill. She's got 13 grammars in this hand and a handful of smalls in that one. I think I had a 6 or a 7, and it was just on. There was 100 metres of that creek that was just loaded with gold, like ounces and ounces of it. So, we worked as a team that day, and it was, a fantastic day. But then, of course, we've found so much gold and worked so bloody hard that we've forgotten we've got an 8-kilometre walk out. and that was one of the death march. It was probably about 40 degrees that day. Massive walkout. And honestly, if you didn't have your mate beside you, it's just a chat to and encourage you and remind you and have a listen to that rattle in your pocket. It was that breakdown helped us find that spot and it helped us work it, but also. And that's the first day of that story that goes for about 4 months. that bloody quad.
Once we went in there and we found all that gold, despite the fact that the vehicle was broken, we had to find a way back in, right? We kept going back every day. The walks were massive, so we were carrying all this extra water and extra gear to dump it at a central spot as soon as we finished the long walk, so then we could go prospecting and then come back and pick up all the water and then take it back out. Like, it was hectic, but we found some great gold every day. One of us at least was getting a big piece. Like, it was a great run.
Yeah, we really did. It was a magic run. We were bringing home, I think, an ounce every day for about a week straight. It was just amazing. And we were due too. Like, we'd had a pretty lean run and we hadn't been doing well. The water had blocked us out. Yeah, but anyway, eventually perseverance paid off, and you know that's such a massive part of the prospecting gig, and it's part of the reason Jacqui was quite successful, because she didn't give up easy. She's got little tiny T-Rex arms, but they just keep going, keep digging them holes.
But I think if we didn't have each other as teammates, we probably wouldn't have done such a big mission or risked going into the bush that far alone, because safety-wise, you've got your mate who's got your back, so it's different that way. And you've got someone to talk to while you're walking for an hour in and out each way.
And it's the biggest hurdle for any prospector to team up with someone is trust. Coming up with someone that you can trust, that isn't going to rob you, sort of thing, but isn't going to rush back to your spot you took them to and not tell you even, or all those little things. And it doesn't take much in the gold game for trust to be broken. So the fact Jacqui and I prospected next to each other for 5 years tends to tell you how much we sort of trust each other in that regard. And that's a big thing. If you get onto a good prospecting partner, don't just keep everything in the open. Like, if you're going to go for a prospect on the weekend and they're not, you can still say to them, "Oh, look, I'm going to Uncle Tom's Gully for a prospect, mate." And that way they know where you're going. You didn't, it might be what you. It's just the best way. Stay open and honest.
Yeah, it's got to happen. Gold does funny things to people. We all know that.
Too many friendships go. Yeah.
I'm sure we've all been burnt. We've all been used. So you're spot on. You get the right person. You do the right things and have a great partnership with them, because it can be it can work into your advantage having two people out there. By two heads are better than one, aren't they?
Oh, big time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You cover a lot more ground, and you can get in there and go, yep, that spot's no good, that spot is good, and it would be, no, come over my side, mate, or I'll head over to Andy's side because there's gold in there, whereas the gully I searched was a dead gully. And yeah, it works really well. But like Andy said, if you don't trust that you're going to keep each other's spots, a secret, or respect each other's spots until they've finished working it and things like that, then it'll just ruin it.
Yeah. And even just for that peace of mind of safety as well. Like, you guys are dealing with type hands and bloody all sorts of wonderful things out there. So having that person to know, all right, well, if I do get nailed, at least they can talk to me before I die.
Yeah. I've called Andy on the radio before, and I'm like, "Mate, you've got to get over here. You know where you left me? Right, that gully I was about to do. Get over here right now. I am getting chased by a stallion." And I am shitting myself. I remember we drove in that day, and we saw this mob of horses, and we're like, these brumbies, wild horses, and we're like, oh my God, that is a stunning group of horses. Biggest horses we've seen on the Palmer, tails down to the floor, jet black. We nicknamed him Aragon, like Lord of the Rings, because he was such a beautiful horse. And then as soon as I was on my feet, and I was walking in the gully, and I turned my detector on, and he heard that beep, 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 beep. He started running for me with his whole group. And I was like, my brain is like, stand your ground. And my legs were just like Fred Flintstone out of there. Yeah. And I'm on the radio, Andy, you gotta get down here, chase this horse away. Oh my God. I went back there twice. That horse actually found me again. He did the same thing, chased me about 1 kilometre up the gully until I got back to where we were, which was wild. I was terrified, and I've never gone back there alone.
Yeah.
Because I'm so scared of that horse.
He doesn't chase anyone else, just Jacqui. He's worked out that, this little human's really scared of me. Because because as soon as I turn up, he knows I'm going to stand my ground and he heads off. You know what I mean? But he knows he's got Jacqui bluff, so I'm pretty sure he just does it for a giggle himself.
Yeah, I reckon he's got a sense of humour. Hey, he waits till I can
think so.
see him, and then he starts to chase. Yeah. So I can relate to your deer story.
Oh, I'm not going back down to that gully. I'm telling you now. I know it was only a deer.
Yeah.
I couldn't get down there anyway. I had no access. So I was jammed in the bush. I couldn't move. And then I just hear boom, boom coming through the bush at me. And I'm like, I'm in Victoria. What is this thing? You know, like, it's not a pig. I'm south of the Divide. It can't be a pig. And then these antlers pop out of the bush at me. And I was like, oh, God, it's 300 kilos. I'm in trouble here. So I just went, rah! And he did a U-turn and took off across the gully. But yeah, it was when you've got a gold monster as your first line of defence, I usually back myself in because of my size. You know, I might not be tall, but I'm wide, and I can usually stop most things from running at me. This one, he had me covered big time.
Yeah,
and he has the same problem with pigs.
Yeah, but I make full use of being light and agile, and I am up a tree or a rock, and that they must just go, wow, that definitely was a monkey. He climbed the tree like a champion.
The only tree I had was a 150, 200-year-old mountain ash, and if anyone knows what mountain ashes are like, they haven't got a branch for the first 200 metres. Like, I wasn't climbing that.
If it makes you feel better, the only tree Andy had was covered in green ants.
And it broke. The tree snapped. Yeah, tore the ligaments in my ankle, got smashed by green ants.
Just a normal day out on the goldfields, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't. Yeah, it made a story. Most likely, if it had just been another day where I found 2 grams of gold, I wouldn't remember it. So.
Yep.
You hear that, guys? Come to the goldfields. It'll be great.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Get out there and enjoy it. But these are the things that they're the little extra cool bits on the side, because you've got these stories now, you've got these memories now, and it's all just part of the fun. It's part of the adventure and the hunt. It's what makes it so enticing to a lot of people, and probably turns a lot of people off at the same time. I'm sure there's a lot of people that just go, oh, no, I'm on that for a pinch of salt, thanks.
Yeah. Like even just the amount of wasp bites we get late in the year on the Palmer would do most people's heads in. They're relentless that time of year. It's all those little things that add up in the bush, but it's also what makes you tough and what makes us prospectors too, you know?
That's right. Yeah. Well, guys, I think we're just about hit the hour mark, so we'll probably leave it there for this one.
Yep.
Jacqui, thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully you'll come on again. Hopefully we didn't scare you off from coming on the podcast. You'll jump on for another chat one day.
Oh, this was fantastic. I love what you guys are doing, so I'm really stoked to have been a part of it. Thanks so much for having me.
No, it's great. Thanks for coming on. And Andy, got any final words for us for the day, mate? You got a nice outline that we could finish up with? Got something witty and special?
Something special, something witty and special. Dude, mate, you're asking the wrong person. No,
that's not true. Andy's got the best one-liners ever.
Most of them you can't put on TV. But look, I think a tip I'd like to, tell everyone not to forget this week, or this podcast, is just simple. Don't let gold sort of ruin your life or ruin friendships. Forget it's a hobby. Don't forget it's a hobby. We're all here to have fun. We're all here to make mates. Play nice. Do the right things. Take your rubbish home. Close your gates. All those simple things that prospectors should do.
Lovely. So. All right, guys, let's leave it there. Thanks again, Jacqui. We'll talk to you soon.
Love it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone, for watching. See you on the next one.
Yep.
Bye.